Welcome, I'm Melinda Kimani. Tonight, suspected kidnapper Chukwudumeme Onwu Amadike, also known as Evans, pleads guilty to allegations of kidnap as his lawyer claims he was intimidated by the Nigerian police force. President Muhammadu Buhari gets a standing ovation from cabinet members as he presides over his first Federal Executive Council meeting since he returned from medical leave. Economic and Financial Crimes Commission says it has recovered over 400 million naira in its fight against corruption since the beginning of the year. Governor of Texas tells residents to brace up for more downpour as Storm Harvey continues to move inland.
On business news tonight, U.S. authorities probe world's biggest oil refiner Sinopec over alleged multi-million-dollar bribe payments made by Nigerian officials.
Super Eagles head coach Gernot Rohr names Ifeanyiba FC goalkeeper as starting goalie for Super Eagles game against indomitable Lions of Cameroon.
And from Abuja, Police Service Commission invites Senator Misal for questioning over authenticity of retirement letters.
We'll begin with legal matters. Suspected kidnapper Chukwudumeme Onwu Amadike, also known as Evans, has pleaded guilty to a 2-count charge of conspiracy and kidnapping. He took his plea alongside 5 others before Justice Hakeem Oshodi of the Lagos High Court sitting in Ikeja today. Our judiciary correspondent Shola Shoyele reports that the arraignment is coming months after his arrest and detention.
A large crowd of onlookers and a heavy presence of security personnel, all here for the arraignment of the most talked about suspect in recent times. Every available space in the courtroom is occupied, and the man at the center of it all sits calmly alongside 5 other persons alleged to have conspired with him to kidnap one Dunu Donatus. In the 2-count charge put before the court, the Lagos State government says the offense was committed between February and April 2017 in the Ilupeju area of the state. Armed with guns and other weapons, the 6 defendants are alleged to have captured, detained and collected a ransom of 223,000 euros from the victim. When the charges were read to Evans, he pleaded guilty. The plea took almost everyone by surprise, and Justice Hakeem Oshodi had to ask for the charges to be read again so he could be sure of the suspect's plea. 2 other defendants, Uche Amadi and Okuchukwu Nwachukwu, told Evans' part and also pleaded guilty, while 3 others, Chilaka Ifeanyi, Victor Chukwunonso Aduba, and the only female among them, Ogechi Uchechukwu, all pleaded not guilty. Following their pleas, the Attorney General of Lagos, Adeniji Kazeem, who led the prosecution, asked for a trial date for those who pleaded not guilty and for all 6 defendants to be remanded in prison custody. There was no objections from the other lawyers in the case. Counsel to Evans, however, told the court that he has had no access to his client to enable him prepare for the case.
If you are representing a client in court in a criminal case, Section 36 says you must be given adequate time and facility to prepare your defense. Now, they were brought to court this morning. We were served the information, the charges this morning. That's a copy of the charges this morning. We have not had the opportunity to confirm with our client whether we should even represent him.
In an email sent to Channels Television, Mr. Ogungbeje has also alleged that his client told him that the police threatened to kill him if he did not plead guilty. He says, having conferred with Evans, the suspect is ready to change his plea to that of not guilty. The police have rubbished the allegations made by Mr. Ogungbeje. They are confident that the case against Evans is tight enough to secure his conviction.
People will be surprised why only 2-count charge. That in general just worked on 1 file out of 10 case files. Police has completed investigation on 10 different kidnapping cases, and investigation was thorough because it was supervised by the Inspector General of Police.
Channels Television has also gathered that the Lagos State government has listed 10 witnesses, including the victim and ACP Abba Kyari, to testify against the defendants. If convicted, the suspects face life imprisonment.
Justice
Justice Akim Oshodi has ordered the remand of all the defendants at the Kirikiri Maximum Prison in the Apapa area of Lagos. For those who pleaded not guilty, trial is expected to commence on the 19th of October. But if the guilty plea of Evans and the two others stays the same, then we'll see a conviction and a sentence. But it's a developing story. We'll keep you updated on what happens next. From the Lagos High Court, sitting in Ikeja, Shola Sheyeli for Channels Television News.
President Muhammadu Buhari is in Daraa, Katsina State. He went there after the Federal Executive Council meeting, which is his first since he returned to the country after his medical vacation in London. The approval of $5.8 billion for the construction of the Mambila power plant is one of the key decisions made today at the meeting. Our correspondent, Gloria Omezuke, reports that the president is in Daraa for the Salah celebrations.
A standing ovation welcoming the President, Muhammadu Buhari, into the Council chambers, where he presides over the Federal Executive Council weekly meeting for the first time since his return on the 19th of August 2017 from a 3-month medical vacation.
For bringing back our dear President in peace, not in disease.
Receiving members of the national female basketball team, the Tigress, on winning the 2017 FIBA Women's AfroBasket tournament in Mali, President Buhari performed his first assignment before announcing the cash rewards.
Each of the players will be given 1 million naira. And each official 500,000 naira. So we thank the Minister of Finance to try and get this money wherever she can get it from.
The Minister of Sports hopes this victory after 12 years would translate into a revival of Nigeria's lost glory in sports.
Having realized the problems with the sector, we are determined to take steps that will restore the glory of sports in Nigeria. And these have started paying off.
After the closed-door meeting, the Minister of Power, Works and Housing announced the approval of the construction of the Mambila hydroelectric power plant in the sum of $5.792 billion, expected to deliver additional 3,000 megawatts.
This government approved the award of the contract today to a joint venture of Chinese civil and engineering companies for $5.792 billion. 85% of that is supposed to be financed by them. 15%, is our own counterpart funding part of it. The award now triggers the contract negotiations for the financing side, and after when that is concluded, project can't start.
On the ASU strike, the Minister of Labour assures that the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, has taken over part of the negotiation process. After the meeting, the President travelled to his hometown ahead of the Eid al-Kabir festival, which officially begins on Friday, after which he is expected to resume at the presidential villa next week. Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, claims it has recovered 409 billion naira, $69 million, amongst other amounts between January and August this year. The monies are said to have been recovered from several operations carried out by the operatives of the agency across the country. Our correspondent, Amaka Okafo, has this report.
The EFCC chairman and media practitioners in the Federal Capital Territory at a media chart on the activities of the anti-graft agency since January 2017.
An ethical conduct of operatives or workers in the EFCC.
First, he informs his guests on the amount of stolen funds recovered since January 2017.
I have the pleasure to report that the Commission between January and August 30, 2017 recorded the following monetary recoveries, 409 billion naira, 69.5 million US dollars, 230,000.
The recoveries notwithstanding, the EFCC chairman is not excited about the types of convictions secured by the anti-graft agency.
It's very regrettable that we were unable to score convictions in the cases of the high-profile cases, politically exposed persons, because they have a lot of money to fight back. It's very unfortunate.
The EFCC also defended its stance that the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit is domiciled in the EFCC.
If there is a fundamental change, it is not just enough to say, I have a new law. But if there's a fundamental change, which is moving an FIU from one location to another location, is expulsion, like I said earlier. And I'll give you a typical example. At least you have people are members of the press, and somebody should go and Google Germany. Germany just this year alone had the same problem. They moved their FIU from the police to customs, and they were expelled.
The NFIU bill is currently before the National Assembly. Whether the argument of the anti-graft agency that the unit should remain under the EFCC will fly with the lawmakers when they vote on the amendment bill remains to be seen. Amaka Okafor, Channels Television News.
To security matters now, the Nigerian Army has been briefing the press on the activities of Operation Lafia Dole over the last 1 month. The theatre commander, Operation Lafia Dole, Major General Atahiru Ibrahim, told a press conference in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital, that coordinated air and land operations were carried out against the insurgents in an intensified campaign.
468 people have been rescued from the clutches of Boko Haram. 630 settlements have been cleared of the terrorist elements. And 82 insurgents have been killed in combat in the last 1 month.
Component commanders here present.
These figures were given by the theatre commander of Operation Lafia Dole at a press conference in Maiduguri on their latest activities. He gives more details.
In another encounter, troops on clearance patrol to Gashiga and Asaga, a mobile local government area, engaged fleeing Boko Haram terrorists, killing 2 Boko Haram terrorists in the firefight and capturing 2 others live. Troops also captured 1 AK-47 rifle with registration number 58008971, 4 AK-47 rifle magazine with 89 rounds of 7.62 mm special, 1 magazine carrier, 1 handset, 4 motorcycles, and a sum of 136,000 naira only.
As a question and answer session ensues, Major General Ibrahim Atahiru sheds more light on the endeavors.
It is not a possibility that Operation Lafia Dole will deploy a soldier in each of these, or group of soldiers in each of your houses or villages. But we want a system where the mobile strike force will have specified routes. They will go on these routes, and they can also answer distress calls from members of the public in case specific villages are being targeted. But most importantly, the passage of information is the underlying factor. Especially in
the insurgency has been largely degraded by the Nigerian military, and the recent relocation of the service chiefs to the northeast on orders of the federal government after a spell of attacks in Maiduguri could only give more teeth to the efforts of Operation Lafia Dole to make Boko Haram a thing of the past.
In part 2, after the break, flash floods threaten more lives and property in Makurdi, Benue State as heavy rains continue for 4 days in a row. That's in a moment. Stay with us.